Hello and welcome, everybody. How's everyone doing? You know, when I was speaking with Pastor Mark as we were preparing for this seminar, he told me, I'd like you to give 7 lectures. And I said, "Oh, I'm not sure I could come to Seattle for 7 days. That's quite a long time." And he said, "No. You won't give 1 class a day. We'll load them up, and you'll give like 3 a day." And I said, well, I swallowed hard, and I said, "Okay, I'm ready. I'll do it." And then I said, in a very English, very polite way, "Are you sure that's not too long a period of time for the participants to?" And he said, "Oh no, they're dinosaurs." And I said, "Dinosaurs? What does that mean?" Because I'm thinking, in England, there's got to be like a cultural misunderstanding, because in England, if you call somebody a dinosaur, it just means they're very old. So I said, "How is the fact that they're a dinosaur going to allow them to pack in the day, and we'll have at least 3 classes?" And I said, "What do you mean they're dinosaurs?" He's like, "They're dinosaurs, my people. They are meat eaters. They do not want the salad. They want the meat and potatoes." And I said, okay. And I got on the plane and I flew from Israel. And in the back of my head, all I hear is, they want the meat. These people will keep going. And I have to tell you, it's true. It's true. And I wasn't sure who you would be. And I know that we have many people that are watching at home or watching the video of this. What a privilege it is for us to learn together and to discuss and grow together and get to know God together and deepen our understanding of the Bible together. And this is a thrill for me to be able to stand in front of you. And hopefully you haven't fallen asleep yet as I'm here standing in front of you. And I'm reminded, well, actually, you just reminded me of something. There's a great joke that's told of a British member of the House of Lords. Did I tell you this joke? Okay. So there's a story told of a member of the House of Lords that says that he says, I had a dream that I was speaking in the House of Lords, and when I woke up, I was. So hopefully I will not fall asleep in the middle of my own remarks and wake up and find that I'm in the middle of teaching a class. But I'm reminded, in addition to you reminding me of that joke, I'm reminded of a statement of the Talmud that is speaking about teaching. And it gives the analogy of an animal nursing. Fascinatingly enough, we can actually delve into this passage in the Talmud, and that itself can be understood and learnt and thought about. The Talmud says, more than the calf wishes to nurse, the mother wishes to give of her milk. And to whatever degree that you may be interested in these classes, believe you me, I am even more profoundly interested in being able to share the Torah with you. And let's jump right back in. because as you've seen now, my introductions itself could take 10 minutes. We've taken 5 minutes. Let's jump in. This is class 5 on our whirlwind seminar on the month of Elul and building up to the king being in the field. And today I want to, or for now, class 3 for today, I want to speak about the concepts of mercy and judgment in Jewish thought as we are preparing for the day of Rosh Hashanah. The day of Rosh Hashanah bring us to a seemingly clash of two different themes, a clash seemingly of two very different ideas. On the one hand, the idea of mercy, and on the other hand, the idea of remembrance. We're going to speak about this. I'm going to get into this. We're going to explain. People think on the surface that mercy and judgment are actually opposites. If someone comes before me and I respond back to them in mercy, then I am showing them compassion. I am showing them that I am gracious. I'm showing them that I am filled with mercy for them. And I actually can bend the rules and let them off the hook. That's mercy. I can be merciful. Mercy says there is a corresponding response that you now should get as a result of your behavior, and I will be merciful to you. I am not going to deliver the letter of the law. I'm going to be gracious. That's mercy. Then, on the other hand, there's judgment. And judgment is very strict. Judgment is very precise. Judgment is something that can't be bent or broken. Judgment is you play by the rules. And there's a strict sense of how we go about the ramifications of you breaking those rules. And if you should break those rules, we will catch you out on it. We will make sure that you get punished for it. There's a strict sense of judgment. And taken together, there is no which way around it. Those are opposites. Fundamentally, you can't coexist. I mean, let's give an example. Your child comes home and says he stole. He stole. Well, on the one hand, you're going to need to look at him through the eyes of judgment. That was wrong. You're going to have to give that money back. You did something wrong. You need to pay for your crime. And now imagine that your child comes before you and says that he stole. And now imagine that he's bursting into tears in front of you and that he's showing incredible remorse and he feels guilty for what he has done and he commits never to do it again and is admitting this to you because of an inner sense of guilt that his moral compass is correct, that notwithstanding the mistake that he made, he wants to better himself and not repeat his actions. You will also, as a parent, look at that child with a sense of mercy. And somehow, those two can coexist at the same time. Now, if you take that person to a court of justice and the judge is there, the judge will look at them through the act of judgment, as he should, being the judge. If you are looking at that child as the Father with the lens of parental love, then it's quite possible that you will look at that child, your child, through the lens of mercy. What happens when our Father in heaven is both the judge and the parent? We get this dichotomy, we get this combined mercy and judgment moment coming together. In the Jewish tradition, especially on the day of Rosh Hashanah, we call God by two names. We call God by the names Avinu and Malkeinu. God is our King, and yet prior, perhaps primarily, first, His Avinu, His our Father. And so what I would like to do with you for class 5 is explore this combination of mercy and judgment and how they somehow go together. You're going to start to see, as we are learning more and more, that we're actually going to revisit and go back to certain texts and certain verses in the Bible that we've already seen. Because the only way you can see the master canvas is by taking a look at all of the shades of paint and each brush stroke individually, and yet revisiting them from different approaches. Because anyone that has marveled at the Mona Lisa hasn't just stared at the Mona Lisa from one point in the Louvre, but rather they've stood on the left of it, they've stood on the right of it, they've stood directly in front of it. And many people will tell you, as they're swept up by the mystique and majesty of the Mona Lisa, that somehow or other, no matter where I stood around the room, she was following me as I was moving around. Has anyone actually visited the Louvre in Paris and seen the Mona Lisa? Did you move around the room and look at her from different perspectives? It's a painting, for goodness sakes. It's art on canvas. And yet, why is it the most famous painting in the world? Because there's magic that happens when you're, and by the way, if you haven't yet seen it, go to Paris. And if you can only afford to go to Paris or Israel in October 2027, come with us to Israel. Forget Paris. I'm sure Pastor Biltz will show you a painting of the Mona Lisa, and he'll bring it to life with the way that he brings all of his amazing pictures to life. But if that's true of a painting by flesh and blood, the Torah was painted by the greatest master painter of all. And the Bible is actually, we talk about the masters, Michelangelo, Picasso, Leonardo da Vinci. The Torah was the greatest master painting of all. And you can absolutely be sure that when you revisit those verses, each time you stand in a different perspective around the room, you see a new shade of understanding, because it was infinity that imbued those verses into the Bible. And if the master painter is himself infinite, then each and every one of those expressions of his words contains within it infinity. And so we come back again to Leviticus 23. And the first verse on our text for today, for class 5, in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, you shall observe a sacred rest, a remembrance through the sounding of the shofar. Now, let me look at this from a very different perspective. Remembrance, a day of remembrance. Do you know who remembers? Only someone that forgets. I'll say that again. Who remembers? Someone that forgets. And now I've completely confused all of you right now, because up until now we were talking about the day of remembrance, about a day when God remembers. But if God remembers, then it has to be that God forgets. Because the only person that ever remembers anything is the person that forgot about it in the first place. So if you are like, I won't mention her, but she lives with me, and she says, "Where did I put my car keys?" And I'm like, oh my God, how many times? We have a special dish by the front door for car keys. You walk in, you put the car keys in the dish by the front door. Are your car keys in the dish? No. It's okay, we've only been living together for over 20 years, it's fine. I'm like, my darling, because that's how we speak to each other, right? My darling. With patience, with love. My darling. Perhaps I suggest that you put your car keys in the dish by the front door that we leave for keys. Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, you didn't do it on this occasion. Where did you put it? I don't know, I forgot. I forgot where I put my keys. Okay, I'll help you look for them. It's not too much to say that for 20 years of my life, I've been looking for my wife's car keys. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Thank God. Thank God. And then there comes a moment in our lives where did I put my keys? Ah, yes, I remember. They're in my purse. They're in my handbag. You and I, we forget. But does it make any sense at all to say that God forgets? How could God forget? Surely God is not only the knower of everything and the seer of all, but surely God remembers. Yes. God has a book of remembrance. Not only does God not forget, excellent. What's your name? Bonnie, excellent. Not only does God remember it all, but it's written down in a book. And God actually will recall that book and remember our deeds as he reads through the book of remembrance. And yet, we are starting off with a question. Read it again. Leviticus 23, verse 24. In the 7th month, on the first day of the month, you shall observe a sacred rest, a remembrance through the sounding of the shofar. Whichever way you want to perform your intellectual acrobatics, the verse says what the verse says. There's going to be a remembrance through the sounding of the shofar. So why would God need a remembrance? We're stuck. This is difficult. First of all, theologically, God remembers. And secondly, according to Bonnie, and she's correct, God has a book of remembrance. So why would the Torah tell us that God remembers with the blowing of the shofar? Very difficult. Very difficult. Friends, I'm leading you through a methodology here, okay? And not just now, but we've seen this a couple of times. When you see something in the Bible that's difficult, don't imagine it away by virtue of the fact that, oh, it must mean something else. Oh, we must be wrong, or we should translate it different, or let me change the meaning. No. Be honest with the Bible, and the Bible will be honest with you. And if we can approach these difficulties in the text and question them and say, what does this mean? We'll find that there are doors that open up to us for answers. We just have to open those doors. But in order to find them in the first place, we need keys. So here's the key. When you are confronted with something that on the surface does not make sense, go to other places in the Bible where the same theme occurs. And you will find that that's your key. one of the great teachers of this approach is Rabbi David Foreman. And I just saw that Pastor Mark has a picture of him with the two of them together in their office. Incredible. Now, I'm sure that Pastor Mark has been learning with Rabbi David for years, but my goal is to have my picture on Pastor Mark's office. Then I know I've made it in life. Jump to Genesis chapter 8. You know the story extremely well. The animals went in 2 by 2, hurrah, hurrah. You know the story. God decides to destroy the planet and get rid of you and I because he can't stomach us anymore. So disgusted is he with our behavior. And yet he remembers Noah. And Noah builds an ark and saves 2 by 2 the animals and his family. And then, 7 of the pure animals as well. Very good, very good. And then, Genesis 8 verse 1, God remembered Noah and every living creature that was with him in the ark. And God caused the wind to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided. Do you think that God forgot about Noah? I once put pasta on the stove to boil, forgot about it. Came back, it was a mess, it was too late. I'm not going to go through the details. You don't want to know. The pot didn't make it, unfortunately. We now refer to that pot of blessed memory. A human being can forget. God remembered Noah and every living creature that was with him in the ark. What does that mean? The key is in the second half of the verse. Read it carefully. God remembered Noah and every living creature that was with him in the ark. Here it comes. And God caused the wind to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided. Do you know what it means to remember? What it means to remember is to have a recommitment to life. Because if I am God and I am remembering, then I am choosing to redouble my efforts to commit to life. Because right now, it's a mess. Right now, it's a disaster. Right now, I regret having created humankind. Right now, to hell with it, I want to destroy it all. Flush it down the toilet. I'm going to send a flood. I'm angry. I'm mad. I'm furious. This was a mistake. I'm glad I got that off my chest. And you know what? I've calmed down. I've taken a deep breath. I'm recommitting myself back to that original vision. I want a relationship. Ultimately, I want a loving relationship. Because as God, I believe in love. And that love is with humankind. I believe in you, my creations. And so after this moment of anger, I'm going to remember and redouble my efforts to commit myself to what was originally the goal in the first place. The creation of a human that I can then bestow my love upon, so that they in turn can turn around to me of their own free will and love me back. It's the entire reason God created the world. I'm giving this to you on a silver platter. I'm shocked that you're all sitting on your chairs right now. You should have fallen off your chairs. I'm going to repeat what I just said because none of you fell off your chairs. I just gave you the secret keys to the kingdom. I'll say it again. The purpose that God created this world is because God is full of love and had a vision at the very beginning that he wants to share his love with us. only thing he wants out of any of us is to be in a relationship where whence he has showed and showered that love upon us, he can then, in return, see a human being of their own free will and volition turn around and share that love back with him. And so God says to humanity, I love you. I believe in you. I want to give my love to you. Now you turn around. Can't force you. I'm not going to push you. This can't be a pressured, against your will type relationship. It's got to be free. It's got to be of your own volition. It's got to be where you choose. And that's why I'm bestowing the greatest gift of all upon you, free choice. But if you, with your freedom, can turn back around to me and say, God, I love you too, then that's the entire purpose of me creating the world. We can be in a loving relationship with God because all he wants to do is love us and bestow his good upon us. And when we realize that, we can turn back around and love him too. And so God, every time you see this word, remember, God recommits himself to the original process that was at the heart of the creative endeavor in the first place. I'm here to love you. I'm here to be in a relationship with you. I'm here so that you will love me back. And no matter how bad things are, we'll start again. No matter where you are, we'll recommit. No matter what you are, I'm going to remember you for life. Let's live. So God remembers Noah. I'm remembering that I'm here for a relationship with humanity. No more water, no more flood, no more ark. It's time for you to get off the boat and start living your life. Every time you see God remember, let's start again. You're in the depth of it. You're in the thickness of the mud. You're in the bottom of hell itself. There comes an end. Let's start again. I love you. I want to begin over. Go to Exodus chapter 2, verse 23 through to 25. The children of Israel groaned because of the bondage, and they cried out. Their cry rose to God, and God heard their groaning, and God remembered. What did he remember? His covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God saw the children of Israel, and God knew. And what are the next lines in Exodus? And there was born a Redeemer. Moses enters on the scene. It's time to take the children of Israel out of their bondage. You are a slave. You are stuck in the mud. You don't see yourself with a future. You can't believe in your tomorrow. I'm here to tell you, says God, that I remember. And there's a world of new possibility. I believe in your tomorrow. I can see your future. You are not destined to be hitting this dead end forever. There's a new path. There's a new possibility. God remembers, and new vistas of life are presented. Every single time you see God remember, it's God wanting to grant life. By the way, I didn't include these on the source sheets, but they've just popped into my head. And God remembered Rachel. Who remembers that line? And God remembered Rachel. And the next words, and Rachel was blessed with a child. It's one-to-one correlation. Next idea, book of Samuel 1, very beginning. And God remembered Hannah. Who remembers that line? And Hannah was blessed with a child. The great curse of the Bible is infertility. This is a meta theme, by the way. I'm off topic, but important. One of the great meta themes in the Bible is not being able to have a child. It wasn't just that Sarah was barren and it was a random haphazard story. And God remembered Sarah. Next words, and blessed her with a child. God remembers Sarah. God remembers Rachel. God remembers Hannah. God remembers the animals on Noah's Ark, for goodness sakes. Doesn't even have to be human beings. Could be elephants and giraffes and bears. And God blesses life. And God remembers, and God says, let there be life. God remembers us for life. That's what it means that God remembers. He wants to rededicate and bless us so that we can live. I want to take a look at how the Jewish sages formulated how they understood Rosh Hashanah. Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah. Mishnah going back to the year approximately 200, the land of Israel, the Jewish sages. At 4 times the world is judged. We're not going through this entire Mishnah. We get 4 different time periods. On Rosh Hashanah, all who enter the world pass before him like B'nai Maron. Let's leave that untranslated for now. As it is written, he fashions all their hearts and considers all their deeds. B'nai Maron is a interesting phrase, an unclear phrase. It's not so straightforward what it might mean. B'nai Maron might mean a couple of possibilities I'll share with you today. B'nai Maron could mean a very tight bend around a mountainside where there's only enough room for a single file for people to get around. I don't know if you've ever been hiking before and you come across a bend around a mountaintop and it's very narrow. And instead of 3, 4, 5 of you all walking together, hiking as a band, you actually have to go single file because it's such a narrow process that it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Another interpretation of B'nai Maron, there was a process of tithing your sheep in the ancient world. Let's say you were blessed with 100 sheep. You had to give 10% to the Levite, and you would tithe your sheep. How did you count 10%? What you did is you made a small little opening in the pen, and you had a red bucket of paint and a big brush, and you would count all of the sheep as they would go out of this small narrow opening. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when it came to number 10, you took the big brush and you dipped it in the big red paintbrush and you put a big line of red onto the sheep, directly on its wool. 10, whoosh. And you start again. 1, 2, 3, and when the 10th sheep would go by, again, whoosh, you'd paint it red. So if you had 100 sheep, and then very easily, when all the sheep were in the next pen over, you simply had to go to those 10 that were brightly marked, and you knew exactly which were the ones, and that was your 10% that you gave away. What was that small little opening referred to as? B'nai Maron. two possible interpretations. On Rosh Hashanah, the world is judged and passes before him like B'nai Maron. Well, we've got two very different possibilities of how the world is judged now. You know what happens on Rosh Hashanah? We pass before God, on the one hand, as if we're walking around a very steep cliff. Oh, you can't walk that with any of your friends. You can't do that as a group. You've got to do that one at a time. It's dangerous. Rosh Hashanah is dangerous. Rosh Hashanah is dangerous. Yes, but I thought it was apple and honey and fun and games and laughter. It's dangerous because you might fall off the edge of that cliff because you're being judged in front of the King. Judgment. On the other hand, B'nai Maron, it's sheep passing under the watchful eye of the shepherd. Well, I know that if I'm a sheep, I'm taken care of by the shepherd, because I'm not randomly a flock that's roaming the earth. I know that there's a shepherd looking over me, taking care of me, and counting me. Where each one, 1, 2, 3, each one is precious in the eyes of that shepherd. Mercy. Judgment. Walking around a steep cliff. Being under the watchful, careful gaze of the shepherd. Mercy. Rosh Hashanah, judgment, mercy. They come together, seemingly. But they're opposites. I know. And yet, Rosh Hashanah has both. There's two faces to Rosh Hashanah. It's not single-faced. It's multifaceted. We have judgment. We have mercy. And what happens on that day of Rosh Hashanah? God looks inside the human heart. And he understands. And he sees. Psalms 33, go back to your source sheet. Verses 13 through 15. From heaven the Lord looks down, he sees all humanity. From his dwelling place he observes all the inhabitants of the earth. Who is God looking at on Rosh Hashanah? Every single human being. He fashions their hearts together and understands all their deeds. Do you know what it means to understand all their deeds? What do you think that might mean? He understands all their deeds. Sorry? The good and the bad. What else might that mean? And what? The ones that haven't been done yet, possibly. What else? Excellent. You can't hide anything from him. What else might it mean? Yes. He understands your heart. What else might it mean? The circumstances with which you performed those deeds. Because unlike a human judge that sees the externals, what God sees are the pressures, the constraints, the human shortcomings, the circumstances, the limitations. Now, I'm not saying that we have a get-out-of-jail-free card. We don't. And I'm not saying that we can do whatever the heck we like and, whoa, it's my parents' fault. Blame it on the stars. It was in my DNA. Blame it on my socioeconomic circumstance. Whoa, it was my mother. You should have seen how I was raised. No, I'm not saying that. And believe you me, society says that. It's like the old tale of the orphan that killed both of his parents. And he comes before the judge and he says, but give me clemency. After all, I'm an orphan. Doesn't work that way. And yet, we face a God who is Avinu as well as Malkeinu. We face a God who is a judge, yes, but also our Father. And in God's world of infinity, somehow or other, mercy and justice go together. And we come to an understanding of who God is in his essence. Because, well, which one is it? I'm a human being. I can't hold two truths simultaneously in my head. Are you a judge or are you my Father? Which one is it? And you tell me both, but I can't square a circle. Which one is it? And the most fundamental level, who are you? How do you relate to me? And God says, I'll tell you how I relate to you. You want to know who I am in my essence? You want to know the depth of where I truly reside? I will tell you. And this, my friends, was the question Moses asked of God. After the sin of the golden calf, and he begs God to forgive the people. And God says, fine, I'll forgive them. But I'm still upset with them. I'm going to send an angel to accompany them on the rest of the way. I don't want to go with them. I'm in a bad mood with them. I'm not so happy with them. I'm going to sit this one out. And Moses says, no, you can't send an angel to go along with them the rest of the way. We want you. And we're not going on this journey without you. We're here. You took us out of Egypt. Make sure you accompany us now to the promised land. We want you. And God says, fine, I'll even grant you that as well. And Moses says, okay, good, then give me one more request. And God says, wow, you've got some nerve. And Moses says, I see that this is a moment of giving, a moment of divine grace. So I'm going to ask for it all. Show me who you really are. Show me your ways. You remember that question? Show me your ways. Who are you really? What does that mean, show me your ways? God, I want to know, says Moses, in your essence. Is it judge or is it Father? Because I can't square a circle down here on earth. How you relate to me, what is the essence of your being? Show me your ways. And God says, I'll grant you this request as well. And it's at this point in the story that we enter Exodus 34. God says to Moses, I will take you and place you in a cleft on the rock, and I will pass by in front of you. You will not see my face, for no one can see my face and live, but you will see my back. And it's there that Moses receives the greatest prophecy of his life. He sees God's essence. And what is it? Take a look at Exodus 34. The Lord God, merciful and gracious, slow to anger, abundant in kindness and truth, preserving kindness for thousands, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin, yet he does not simply erase guilt. I will never give you a get-out-of-jail-free card, Moses. Don't think there isn't judgment. There is. But fundamentally, at my core, merciful, gracious, slow to anger, abundant in kindness, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin. Do you want to know my essence? I will hold every single person accountable. And I will give them a long time to return back to me before the final judgment comes about. There's no get out of jail free card. You transgress, it's real. It's a stain. And I will wash away your sins, though they be red like crimson. I will make them white as snow. You wish to return back to me? I am slow to anger. I'm not going to fly off the handle. I will reward those thousandth of the generations. I'm not going to zap you right here, right now. You might deserve it right here, right now. But you know what? I'm going to give you a long runway. Return back to me. I'm waiting. I'm patient. I've got all the time in the world. If I invented time, I can certainly wait. And that's my essence, says God. Return to me, and I will return to you. And so amazingly, we square the circle. Yes, God is judge. But yes, primarily, fundamentally, God is Father, and loving, and kind, and patient. This is given expression explicitly by Ezekiel. Ezekiel 18. If the wicked person turns from all the sins he has committed, observes my laws, and performs justice and righteousness, he shall surely live. He shall not die. None of the transgressions he committed shall be remembered against him. Remembered against him. Do you see how specific the prophet is? What word does he put in God's mouth? Memory. Remembrance. None of the transgressions he committed shall be remembered against him. Do I desire the death of the wicked? And here's the punchline, friends. Is it not rather that he should return from his ways and live? God, I did wrong. I know, my son. We all do. To err is but human, said Shakespeare. To be able to turn around and say to God, I'm here. I wish to perform justice and righteousness. God's response is, I do not desire the death of the wicked. All I want is that you should return and live. You know, in the time of the Talmud tells the following story. One of the greatest rabbis of the entire Talmudic period was a rabbi by the name of Rabbi Meir. Have you heard that name, Rabbi Meir? And Rabbi Meir was one of the greatest of the greats, Talmudic genius, leading rabbi. And the Talmud says that in Rabbi Meir's neighborhood lived a gang of ruffians, scoundrels. Do you have such people in Seattle? Okay. And Rabbi Meir, the Talmud says, prayed that they should die. Now, Rabbi Meir was married to his wife. Her name was Bruriah. And Bruriah one day saw him praying and said to him, Meir, my husband, what are your prayers for? And he said, it's that group of scoundrels in our neighborhood. They're just causing so much trouble. They're just evil. Praying that they should die. Life would be so much easier without them. To which Bruriah then went off into the opposite corner of the room and she started praying. And Meir said back to her, Bruriah, what is it that you are praying for? And she turned and she said to him, I'm praying that those ruffians should change their ways, and that they should learn from their evil ways and return back from them and live. I'm praying not that they should die, but that the evil deeds that they perform should end. And the Talmud goes on to say that it was the prayers of Bruriah that were answered. And the prayers of Rabbi Meir were not answered, and notwithstanding how long he had prayed for, very quickly after she began praying, it was the prayers of Bruriah that were answered. And the ruffians, the gang, the scoundrels in their neighborhood changed their ways and repented and returned. The depth of that story is that we have between Rabbi Meir and his wife Bruriah played out between a husband and wife the inner workings of God's spiritual dynamics itself. On the one hand, yes, there's justice, and justice should hold accountable to those that break the law, and they should be punished. But on the other hand, there's slowness to anger, there's kindness, there's forgiveness, there's love. And that, in its lengthy, appropriate time, gives us the ability to turn back from our ways and return. How do we do this? How do we return back from our ways and return? I'm going to share with you something now that will change your life. Third time I've said that. But if we take these words to heart, it will change our lives. Are you ready? By the way, I want you to take this source sheet and cut it and glue it to your fridge, this next thing I'm about to say. And if you want another source sheet, it's okay. We've printed out more at the back, or Pastor Mark will give you another one, okay? Or we'll email it out to you and you can print it at home. This is yours. Do with it as you wish. This, stick on your fridge. And for the rest of your life, take a look at it. This will change your life. You don't need the New York Times top 10 list. You don't need, what's the equivalent in Seattle? I don't know. But this, I'm giving you this on a silver platter right now, okay? This is everything. Are you ready? Maimonides, Laws of Teshuvah, Chapter 3, Law 1. Every person has merits and sins. Okay, so far so good. You haven't made me fall off my chair yet. Therefore, throughout the entire year, a person should view himself as though he were equally balanced between merit and guilt. Stop there. Do you know what you see when you look in the mirror? Or what you could see when you look in the mirror? I hope none of you see, I'm a terrible person. I'm an awful human being. I'm a failure. I'm a loser. I'm a waste of space. I hope none of you see that. By the way, it's a disease in our young people today. There has been a loss of self-esteem. Social media has a major role to play in that. Because what do we see on social media? Only the best of that fraction of a slice of 1% of people's lives. So what do you see on social media? People looking amazing. And then I look at myself and I look awful. What do you see on social media? People on holiday, vacationing on a beautiful beach. And what do I see? I'm stuck in the rain, in the mud. And what do you see on social media? People living their best lives. And what do I see in my life? I'm stuck in the supermarket at the cashier, waiting for my turn, and I'm late for a meeting, and I've got a flat tire, and my hair. We've lost self-esteem, and the youth of today have lost their own sense of who they are. On the most basic of levels, it's a terrible disease. Self-esteem. Now, I'm not saying that you should have the opposite, which is also a pandemic in our world today. An overinflated sense of entitlement, ego, and perfection. Do you not know who I am? I'm amazing. Do you not know who I am? I'm beautiful. I am owed by the world. The world owes me. That's also a problem. But what we could see when we look back in the mirror is balance, is equilibrium. Look, I'm not a saint. I know. Here I am, standing at the fridge. It's 11 o'clock again at night, and I'm confronted with that slice of chocolate cake that's staring back at me. And I try hard. I really try hard. And notwithstanding the willpower, the will is there, but the flesh is weak. And there goes the slice of chocolate cake. And then it's 11:20 p.m. and now I'm back at the fridge again. And there's another slice of chocolate cake in the fridge. And you know where this is going, because by midnight, there I am sitting on the floor in tears, eating the rest of the chocolate cake. I have my battles. You have yours. We all know we're not perfect. We know sometimes, how do I put this politely? We don't always achieve our goals. And it's a monumental and sometimes we do the most beautiful things in the world. Spontaneously. Intuitively. Without even thinking about it. Without preparing. It's one thing to prepare. Okay, today you're going to help the little old lady across the road. Today you're going to help the little old lady across. Okay, get your mantra. Help the little. Okay, here we come. Here we come. Here we go. Okay, excuse me. Can I help you across the? That's okay. That's one level of doing something good. I'm not knocking it. It's at least something good. But there are moments in our lives that are glorious, that are spectacular, where when we least expect it, we surprise ourselves. My goodness, do you see how I held my tongue and held back my anger in that moment? And sometimes no one even knows, sees it, or is aware. I was furious right now inside, and I held my tongue. Right now, I was feeling incredibly arrogant and egotistical, and I reminded myself of my humility. This isn't me, this is God. I've been given gifts, a gift from God. Don't be so haughty, don't be so arrogant. There are moments where, you know what, it's fine, you take it. I don't need it, you take it, I don't need it. It's good. And we're both. And Maimonides says, see both. See your shortcomings and see your greatness. And realize that you're perfectly balanced. Perfectly balanced. And not only are you at equilibrium, 50%, 50%. Look at his next words. The world is equally balanced between merit and guilt. Not only are you perfectly balanced, but so is the entire world. And here comes what's going to change your life if you let it. And if you perform one sin, you may tip yourself and the world towards guilt. And if you perform one commandment, you may tip yourself and the world towards merit and salvation. This is the most uplifting, inspiring thing in the world. There was a book written about 15 years ago called The Tipping Point. Did you hear that title? Maimonides said it 800 years earlier. You didn't need a New York Times best-selling book, The Tipping Point. Maimonides writes this 800 years ago. Our lives are a tipping point. We're good, but we're bad. We've got merits, we've got sins. And you know how a healthy human being looks at themselves? I'm perfectly balanced right now. And my next move is going to tip the scales. Could you imagine how you would live your life if you lived with that consciousness? If you lived with that mindset, oh my God, you'd be the greatest person alive. Because you would truly believe my next act, my next deed, my next behavior is going to tip the scales for the good. How am I going to let myself down? Of course I'm not going to let myself down. And go one step further. It's not just you on a personal level that's 50-50. The entire world. The entire world. Now, we can't know what the world looks like today. But says Maimonides, imagine the entire world. And you say to yourself, my God, one next wrong move, we're all going to hell. Literally. Could you imagine the life that you would lead if you knew it's on your shoulders? You've got this. You've got this. You've got this. The next deed you perform, the whole world entire, it's perfectly, exquisitely balanced 50-50. What happens next is in your hands. That, says Maimonides, is how you can tip yourself and the world entire towards merit and salvation. Friends, I will finish on a story. We did a lot today, almost too much. We could contemplate and think about these 3 sessions. They require deep thought. This isn't me entertaining you up here. This isn't me doing something cute and sweet. This is something that requires review, study, contemplation, and taking it to heart. But as we end on this message, that God is ultimately our Father, as well as a judge, but primarily our Father, and mercy outshines justice, we're left with Maimonides' words ringing in our ears: the very next deed you perform will tilt the scales. I'll finish with the following story. There was once a young boy who lived in a small village. And in this village, there lived a wise man. And in your mind's eye, whatever the image of a wise man is, I'll let you fill out the visuals. This is the advantage of not using visuals. You're not forcing everyone's mind to go into what their picture of a wise man is. Because I would have drawn a long white beard, but maybe for someone else. And this wise man was able to successfully answer every single person's question in the village, no matter what the question, no matter who it was that asked. And that's why he was the wise man of the village. And this young little boy, all he wanted, is a little mischievous, all he wanted was to catch out the wise man and ask him a question that he would not be able to answer. Because you know what little kids are like. And he's thinking, and he's sat down on the grassy hill one day overlooking the village, and he's like, what question? I'm a little kid. What question could I possibly ask the village's wise man that he would be stumped on, that he wouldn't know the answer to, that I could catch him out? And as he's racking his brains, as he's thinking, suddenly, just spontaneously out of nowhere, a butterfly starts flittering past him. And instinctively, he throws out his hands and he catches alive the butterfly in his hands. And he holds his hands together gently but firmly. And he knows that he now has his question that's going to catch out the wise man. And so he makes his way to the wise man's home, over the hill and through the path, and slowly and gently, still holding on to the living butterfly. And everyone's looking at him strangely, like, what on earth are you? And he comes to and he gingerly tries to knock on the door of the wise man. And the wise man opens the door, and he looks down, and he smiles lovingly and gently. And he says, "Yes, my son, how can I help you?" To which the young boy almost blurts out with excitement and enthusiasm, wise man, I have a question for you. I have a question for you." He says, "Go ahead." He says, "Is the butterfly that I'm holding in my hands, is the butterfly I'm holding alive or dead?" And he knows that he's won. He knows that he's beaten the wise man. Because should the wise man say that it's alive, he'll simply squish his hands together and kill it. But should the wise man say it's dead, then he'll simply open up his hands and let the butterfly fly away. So he knows he's won. He's defeated the wise man, and he's so happy. Wise man, I have a question for you. Is the butterfly in my hands, is it alive or dead? And the wise man looks down at him and smiles gently, lovingly, knowingly. And he says, "My precious child, the answer to that question rests in your hands." My precious friends, our lives are held in the balance of a perfect equilibrium. And the very next step we take can tip the balance of ourselves and the entire world to the good. And if we can do that, not only are we able to bring goodness to this world, but so too will we bring salvation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One of the things I know a lot about equilibrium and balance. If you've taken that donut, just have a Diet Coke. Balance. All right, aside from that, tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, we're going to have 2 lessons. We'll see you then. Thank you very much.